You drove home today. Do you remember the drive? The turns, the lights, the streets you passed? Most people can't. You were somewhere else the entire time, and your body handled it without you. Now here's the part nobody tells you. Every piece of advice you've ever heard about this, be more mindful, pay more attention, live in the moment, treats it as a problem in your head. And that's exactly why none of it has ever worked for longer than a few days. Autopilot isn't a mind that's absent. It's a body that's uninhabited. In the next 15 minutes, why willpower can't fix this, what the tantric tradition actually understood about presence before the West rewrote it, and one practice you can start today in under 2 minutes. Let's start with what autopilot actually is, because it's not a flaw, it's not laziness, it's not a modern disease caused by your phone, though your phone certainly feeds it. Autopilot is your brain doing its job. Every time you repeat an action, your brain works to automate it. The first time you drove a car, it took everything you had: hands, feet, mirrors, full attention. Now you can do it while planning dinner. That's automation, and it's a gift. Without it, you couldn't walk, speak, or tie your shoes without exhausting yourself. Your brain automates the familiar so it can save energy for the new. Here's the problem. At some point, your life became familiar. The same commute, the same conversations, the same meals, the same evenings, the same scroll before sleep. And your brain did exactly what it's built to do. It automated your life. Not just your habits, your days. You're not living them anymore. You're executing them. And when people notice this, that hollow feeling of weeks disappearing without a trace, they usually reach for the same solution. Discipline. I need to pay more attention. I need to be more present. I'll try harder. So you try. And for a moment it works. You look up from your phone, you notice the sky, you taste your coffee properly for the first time in months, and moments later you're gone again. Not because you're weak, because of how attention works. Attention is not a muscle you flex. It's more like water. It doesn't hold a shape on its own. It flows toward whatever pulls it, a thought, a worry, a notification, a memory of something embarrassing you said years ago. Left unanchored, attention will drift. That's not a character flaw. That's its nature. So when you command yourself to pay attention, what you're really doing is asking the mind to watch the mind. One thought trying to supervise the other thoughts. And thoughts are exactly what attention drifts into. You're trying to stop the flood using more water. This is why every attempt at being more present collapses the same way. Day 1, you're vigilant. Day 2, you remember occasionally. Day 3, life gets loud and the whole project quietly dissolves. Until a few months later, when another week vanishes without a trace, and you feel that hollow pull again, and the cycle restarts. If this cycle sounds familiar, I want you to actually hear this. You never failed at presence. You were given the wrong instrument for it. Because notice what all that advice has in common. Be mindful. Think about the moment. Focus. It's all happening in the same place, the head, as if presence were an idea you could hold on to if you just gripped hard enough. But presence was never an idea. Think about the moments in your life when you were undeniably, completely here. Cold water hitting your skin, the first second after almost falling. Holding someone you hadn't seen in years. Nobody was trying to be present in those moments. Nobody was practicing mindfulness. Presence simply happened, and every single one of those moments has something in common. The body was loud, and the mind, for once, was listening to it. That's not a coincidence. That's the entire key. And it's exactly what one of the world's oldest contemplative traditions understood about presence, centuries before we started trying to think our way into the moment. That's where we go next. Before we go further, we need to clear something up. Because I just said the word tantra, and for most people in the West, that word now means one thing, and that thing involves candles and a weekend workshop. So let's separate what happened from what was. Tantra, historically, refers to a broad family of traditions that emerged in India well over 1,000 years ago, within both Hindu and Buddhist streams. It was never one single doctrine. It was many lineages, many texts, many practices, and scholars still debate the boundaries. But across that diversity, there's a thread that matters for us tonight. And it was a quiet revolution. Most contemplative paths of that era treated the body as a problem. Something to discipline, transcend, or escape. A distraction on the way to spirit. The tantric traditions made a different move. They took the body seriously as a vehicle for awareness, not an obstacle on the path, part of the path itself. Breath, sensation, energy, embodiment. These weren't distractions from consciousness. They were doorways into it. Now, I want to be precise here, because this channel exists to keep these layers honest. The tradition also describes things I cannot verify for you. Subtle energy, channels in the body, Kundalini itself. Whether you take those descriptions literally, symbolically, or as a map of inner experience is a real question, and we'll give it the time it deserves in future videos. Tonight, I'm not asking you to believe any metaphysics. I'm pointing at the practical insight underneath it, because that insight doesn't need belief, it needs testing. And here's the insight. Attention becomes stable when it rests in the body, not in thoughts about the body, in the felt, living sensation of it. Why would that be true? Think about what sensation actually is. You cannot feel yesterday's breath. Try it. You can remember it, you can imagine it, but you cannot feel it. You also cannot feel tomorrow's heartbeat. Sensation only ever exists in one place, now. Thought travels. It lives in the past and the future, in rehearsals and replays. The body doesn't travel. The body is the one part of you that never leaves the present. So when attention rests in sensation, it's anchored to the only thing in your experience that is always, structurally, here. That's why the water finally holds a shape. Not because you're gripping harder, because you gave it a container. And this is where something interesting happens, because modern research has been circling the same territory from a completely different direction. There's a growing field studying what's called interoception, your perception of the internal signals of your own body, your heartbeat, your breath, the sensations in your gut, the felt sense of tension or ease. What this research suggests is that the ability to accurately sense your inner body is linked to how well you regulate emotion and to how grounded you feel in your own experience. To be clear about the layer we're in, this is an active field. The findings are correlations more than final answers. And science is not proving Tantra. But it's striking that a 1,000-year-old tradition and a modern laboratory keep pointing at the same door, the one between your neck and your feet. Practitioners across generations have reported the same thing in simpler words. The more at home you are in your body, the harder it is for life to sweep you away. That's a report, not a promise. But it's a report repeated so often, across so many traditions, that it's worth taking seriously. So let's put the whole picture together. Autopilot happens because your brain automates the familiar, and attention, left unanchored, drifts into thought. The mind can't anchor itself, because the mind is the drift, but the body can't leave the present, which makes it the one anchor that actually holds. Understanding this changes nothing, by the way. I mean that. You can agree with every word of this video and still lose next week to autopilot. Insight doesn't create presence. Practice does. And the practice, the real one, is smaller, shorter, and far less impressive than you're expecting. That's exactly why it works. So here's where most videos would tell you to start meditating 20 minutes a day. I'm not going to do that. Not because meditation doesn't work, but because I've watched what happens when someone living on full autopilot tries to bolt a 20-minute practice onto a life that's already automated. The practice becomes one more task, then one more failure, then evidence that this isn't for me. The problem was never you. The problem was the size of the first step, So we start smaller, small enough that failing is almost impossible. Here's the entire practice. Choose 3 moments that already happen in your day, every day without effort. The first sip of coffee, your hand on a door handle, sitting down in your car, waiting for the kettle. It doesn't matter which. What matters is that they already exist. You're not adding anything to your life. You're using what's there. Each of those moments becomes a trigger. And when it fires, you do one thing. 3 breaths, felt from inside the body. Not counted in your head, felt. The weight of your feet on the floor, the temperature of the air moving in, the points where your body touches the chair, the cup, the door. 3 breaths of actually inhabiting the thing you live in. Then you carry on with your day. That's it. The whole practice is under 2 minutes a day. And I know how it sounds, too small to matter. But remember what we established. Attention doesn't need force, it needs an anchor. What you're doing with these 3 moments is teaching attention where the anchor is. You're building a path back to the body, and every repetition makes the path easier to find. The moments themselves are small. What they're training is not. Now, the mistakes. Because there are 3 ways this quiet little practice gets ruined. The first is turning it into thinking. You'll catch yourself narrating, "Okay, I'm feeling my feet. I'm being present. Am I doing this right?" That's the mind hijacking the exercise. When you notice it, and you will, just drop underneath the commentary, back into raw sensation. Warmth, weight, contact, no words needed. The second mistake is expecting fireworks. You take your 3 breaths, you feel a vague something, maybe nothing, and a voice says, "This isn't working." Hear this clearly. Feeling very little at first is not failure. If you've spent years living from the neck up, the signal from the body starts faint. Sensitivity grows with use. Feeling almost nothing and staying anyway is the practice working. The third mistake is quitting the whole thing because you missed a day. You will forget. That's not collapse. The trigger is still there tomorrow, attached to a coffee you were going to drink anyway. Just begin again. In this practice, beginning again isn't the backup plan. It is the skill. One thing I want to say with real seriousness before we close. This practice is gentle and for most people, completely safe. But if you carry a history of trauma, turning attention toward the body can sometimes feel uncomfortable, even flooding. The body is where difficult things get stored. If that's you, go slower. Keep the eyes open. Keep it to 1 breath. Stay with neutral sensations like the feet or the hands. And know that deeper work in that territory deserves proper support from a qualified professional. Going slowly, there isn't weakness. It's precision. So, the whole video in 1 line. Presence was never something to think your way into. It's something you feel your way back to, and the body has been holding the door open this entire time. You don't need a retreat, a teacher, or a better version of yourself to begin. You need 3 moments you already have. Here's what I'd love to know from you. What's the 1 moment in your day that always happens on autopilot? The drive, the shower, the lunch you don't taste? Name it in the comments. Naming it is genuinely the first step, and your answer might be the exact mirror someone else needs. If this way of approaching things makes sense to you, tradition and evidence kept honest, practice kept doable, this channel is being built exactly for that. The next videos go deeper into breathwork and body awareness, which take everything we did today further. Subscribe if you want to walk that path with us. Until then, 3 moments, 3 breaths. See what happens.